Hey, this is Mark again. America's Handyman. Today I'm going to be making some paper pots for my tomato plants. Every year I start a bunch of tomatoes. Some years I've already started up to 600 to 800 of them. That's an awful lot. This year not quite so many. I like these paper pots. You can find them just about anywhere. Do a search on them. Different ways to do them. I can make them a little bit bigger than a standard 3-inch peat pot. Peat pots are alright, but they're kind of tippy. These here I'm going to make them about 3.5 inches deep. Make them the size of a tin can. I'll show you here. That's what I'm going to be using as a form. That's all I need. And we're going to be taping them a little bit. Probably don't need to do that, but I think it helps to hold them together. So I'm going to show you how to do this. It's just a short little video. And when we start planting them, we'll plant some. So I'm going to move my camera here a little bit. And right there's the, and excuse the mess, but what do you expect from America's Handyman? Too darn busy. Okay. See, I got some already made up there. Okay, preparation of the newspaper. We're going to do, I'm going to show you, all we need is standard newspaper. This is probably not quite standard, it's a little bit smaller. We get these bargain bulletins. This is one we get from somebody else. Just take it. I use a very sharp knife. This is my fillet knife. And just find where the center is and cut it. Because all we really need here is a single sheet doubled up. That's what we're going to use. I take that, fold it over, and right to there is about 3.5 inches. That must be 6. It's probably 12 inches or a little bit better across this newspaper. You can make these pots just about any size you want. I like this size. It's a little bit bigger than a 3-inch standard pot. It goes straight down, fits a little more soil in it. I like them a little bit deeper. We're going to set our plants down in there quite deep. I believe the inks on these papers, from what I've read and understand, they don't use the toxic inks that they once used with the solvents that were in them. These are supposed to be soy-based inks, and hopefully they're not lying to us. The colored, I want to probably use the Funnies, Sunday Funnies for this, but I wouldn't worry too much about the color. If that bothers you, just take, if any of them's got a lot of color on it, just get rid of them, don't even use them. But that's it, that's all I'm going to use. I'm going to be folding these so that this margin here is the top of my pot. And the reason I'm going to do that, I can write on there like that. I can write the name of the tomato or what variety it is, so I don't forget. I will be marking them in the flats. I try to keep them all together in the flats. But sometimes markers get lost or mixed up. So basically you just get that. Measured this can, that's about 3.5 inches up to this first ridge from the top. Roll these babies up like this. And take a little piece of tape. I had it pre-cut so you're not messing around with that. Adjust it off a little bit. Now this here, you just fold it, and you kind of fold it into not real small sections, but small enough that they all hold together. Now if I was going to be potting these right away, I probably wouldn't even have to tape the bottom, because once that's moist and set in the flat, it's going to stay where it is. I'm going to put a little piece of tape on there anyway, just for now to hold it. And this, you can do this later, not do it at all if you don't want them. If you just got a few plants, you know what you got. But I'm going to write on there right now what I plan on putting in this group of pots. I'm going to put some aromas in there. So, and then the other thing, don't put it on there so tight you can't slip it off. It's slipped off pretty good. You got a nice little pot here. Fill that baby up with dirt. And I'm going to show you my technique for planting the tomatoes. I sell these at my work, and sometimes if we have a rummage sale, I have some in the rummage sale. and everybody just raves about how great these plants are. And it's not a real secret, it's just a lot of people probably don't know about it. Okay, here's the, I said a secret that's not really such a secret. This is the mycorrhizae. It's just a powder, and if you're into mushrooms and things like that there, you'll recognize that term, mycorrhizae. This is a living, right now it's dry. I've had this a couple of years, it seems to be holding up pretty good. It's a living organism. It's actually in the fungi family, and what this does, it creates a symbiotic relationship with the roots. That means this will live on the roots of these plants, but rather than draw much out of the plants, this will break the nutrients and whatnot in the soil down. It makes it a lot easier for the plant roots to absorb it. And I've been using this for several years, and I really believe in it, that this is going to help your gardening a lot. Usually just take a little artist brush, a soft-haired one here, put a little bit on there, and it doesn't take a lot. I put a little bit more on this, it's getting kind of old, but you don't really need a lot on there, because this is, once this gets going, it's a living organism, it's going to reproduce on its own, and keep going. So there you have it. That's how I just put a little on there, and we're going to be putting that in these paper pots. Whoops. This one I'm planting right now is Moonglow. I made about 70 or 80 of these pots so far. This Moonglow is a really good tomato. It's an orangish red, excuse me, it's orangish yellow tomato. And it's got really good flavor. I'm going to adjust my camera here. I'm using my Canon Rebel T1i. It's a great little camera, and it does a good job, except that, there we go. And back off a little bit so you can see me doing this. See, the battery's getting a little low. Hopefully we've got enough to get a couple things on. Okay. Now when I pot these up, I'm going to take this tomato plant. See that tomato plant? Where these two here are, these aren't real true leaves. This is what comes out when it first germinates. I'm going to stick this down into that pot quite a ways, and we're going to bury part of this stem. The reason we're going to do that is tomatoes are really good at growing new roots along the stem. If you've ever had them in the garden laying on the ground, you'll probably have seen that. And when we plant these in the garden later on, now these plants, it'll take them a couple of days in these pots, but all of a sudden they'll get going and they'll really grow good. When we plant these in the garden, I'm going to do it again. I'm going to go down to the first set of good leaves, and produces more roots along the plant stem. And that's basically it. Here's our little paper pot. Got that in there, good. Just pack that down, leave a little bit of space. Most of the time I'd probably be watering these from the top. Got the flats here. Flats I'm going to be putting them in are these types with the holes in here. And I got some without the holes. But these are going to go outside in my little greenhouse, and they'll be sitting on this right on the ground for now. I didn't get no shelves built. There we go. Let's put that in there and squish that root ball down a little bit, give it a little more in the bottom. Another little hint here when you're growing tomatoes or starting them from seed, if you have an upright freezer, check the top of that thing. A lot of these newer ones, the coils for cooling are actually built in just on the inside of the shell. So the top gets to be about 70-75 degrees. Most of my tomatoes and little plants I start right on top of our freezer. Put them up there. Keep an eye on them though, because once they start germinating, probably won't have enough light there. You're going to want to get them off there and get them in some light. There we have it. Another Moonglow ready to get going for us here. So there you have that. Kind of forgot to mention, where do you get mycorrhizae? Tell you the truth, I don't really remember where we got this batch. Been a while, but if you look online, I'm sure you can find it. I do have one place I like to dabble in growing mushrooms. Hasn't been too successful, but I have had a few grow for me. And there's one place, I believe it's up in Washington State, that will have it. Otherwise, I notice it's becoming a little bit more available in some of the other seed catalogs, if you just keep an eye out for it. There's normally several different strains in there. There's different strains of the mycorrhizae to make sure that there's at least one or two in there that's going to go good with your plants, whatever you happen to be putting it on. And apparently the only thing that I remember reading that it don't work too good on is like your cabbage plants. And the kohlrabi's, cabbages, kale, any of those type of plants. Just out of curiosity, maybe you'd like to see what I got going on over here. And this is my setup. Let me get over my stool here. This is my setup that I got. It's fluorescent lights. You got some plants under there going. There's my actual plant light up there. That's about 800 watts. There's two different lights in there for the different colors. This is kind of interesting here. I started these in the beginning of March. And this is a self-watering containers. You got two here. Both made a little bit, basically the same concept, a little bit different though, the way I built them. And these plants, I started these, I believe in March 1st, I started the seeds. And they're growing really good. And I got to get them, I think, outside. I've got plenty of room for growing tomatoes in my lot, but I've been really curious about this. I've been seeing it on the internet, and just wanted to try it. This would be an excellent way for people to grow. If you just had a small patio, or if you're an apartment dweller and had a little area that they let you grow stuff on, these would be great. You put the water in the bottom of this. It's like a double system here. You got the water area down below and the soil on top. So these are going really good, and we're going to see how those go once they get tomatoes on.